And we're underway. Blake Wesley will bring it to the front court. Here's Champagnie, who had 2 strong games up in Sacramento in their summer league. Wembanyama with his first touch. 7 on the shot clock, and Malachi Branham got to the bucket.
Just gets downhill, Mark, and once he touched the paint with that size and frame, nice little touch off the window.
Wembanyama is actually guarding Brandon Miller right now on the wing. Going to test his perimeter skills a little bit defensively. Wesley switches on to Miller, and Miller says, "You thought I was shaky? I'm steady tonight, folks."
And a lot of criticism coming out of the early summer league games prior to Las Vegas about perhaps the motor need to be turned up and the aggression as well. Well, first touch, first bucket.
Shot well over 30% from three-point territory last year. Wembanyama off glass, and his first field goal attempt is off the mark. Here's Miller leading the break. Miller gets it back, relocates, and missed everything. Looked a lot better on this first one here, Doris.
I certainly did, and you like the level of aggression immediately. Defender not there on the catch, had the space, the window to fire, and no hesitation.
Here's Wesley. Champagnie missed the backdoor cut. Here's Wembanyama. Open side, mid-range over Jones, and he's 0 for 2.
Gets it off easy, though, Mark Jones. Very efficient use of a dribble.
Averaged over 36 a game in a small sample size. Those 2 games against G League at night here in Vegas several months ago. That 2-pointer is off the mark, and Champagnie with a grab and go. Wesley for 3. And back the other way comes James Bouknight. Nice little sidestep move. Jones couldn't get the follow. And the Spurs off and running. Wembanyama filling the lane. Goes tween and smoked the slam. Got all the way to the cup, but couldn't cash out. Bouknight for 3. Book retrieves it. Got to the rim and couldn't finish. Kai Jones. Wembanyama with good rim protection. And that's how he changes the equation, Doris.
Oh, my goodness. The length is going to take people by surprise. And how about that pass, Mark Jones?
Timing up his teammate, Dominic Barlow.
You've already seen, right? He's missed some chippies and some shots he normally makes. He knows the weight of expectation. He knows this building is filled for him. But, boy, the presence at the rim, my goodness.
Miller with a little rim pressure had it partially blocked. 5 on the shot clock. That 3 is long, and Brandon with the board. Good pace to this game. Nice rim run by Wembanyama, and 1, and there it is. His first bucket coming on a 5-foot little turnaround with the left hand, Doris Burke.
There's a smoothness to what he does, a feel to what he does. So feels the initial defender on his back. Another one comes over. He's got to use the offhand. Perfect off the window. And, you know, we were speaking to the coach this morning, and I found it interesting how much Matt was talking about his passing ability.
Yes.
And how much they love his basketball IQ as a playmaker.
Led the French league in scoring this past season, about 22 points a game to go along with 10.5 rebounds. Wembanyama from a very athletic lineage. His dad was a track and field star. Here's Bouknight strong. Champagnie with the board. Wembanyama's mother played for the French national team basketball. And here he is off the bounce. Couple of tweens. Champagnie for 3. So he likes to distribute a little bit out there, Dor.
You've seen it twice, Mark. He anticipates he's going to draw that extra defender, and his instinct is, I'm going to give it up on time.
Charlotte has misfired on its last 10 in a row now. Wesley off the outlet. Around Miller. Oh, he got it punched by Kai Jones. Jones sprays it out to the corner. Here's a 3. Tipped out of bounds. It'll come back the other way. Trey Scott missing that 3-pointer. Look at this defense.
Yeah, you said it, Mark. 7'3". Well, this is Charlotte. This is a big year for Kai Jones, right? I mean, he is a guy who has shown potential trying to crack the rotation for Steve Clifford.
After Plumlee was traded a season ago, Kai Jones got valuable minutes and reps, but Victor Wembanyama is on the board. Back after this.
NBA 2K24 Summer League is proudly sponsored by NBA 2K24. Scan the QR code to learn more and pre-order now. Rated E for everyone.
Welcome back to a sold-out Thomas & Mack Center, and Victor Wembanyama has been as eager to get out here on the court as these fans have been to see him. And he did lower the expectations a bit, saying he doesn't plan on playing all 40 minutes tonight, but he did say that he knows his teammates are counting on him to play a big role, and he hopes to be an example on defense and more of a playmaker on offense. He said that practices have been really intense leading into today, as he had to take a little pause from workouts after the draft. He also admits he still has a lot to learn, saying the principles with the Spurs are, quote, so different from where I come from. I asked him what Greg Popovich, who has been here in Vegas with the team since they arrived, is telling him to focus on while he's here, and he said, being myself, coming into a new environment, it's important to not lose that sense of just being myself and experiencing. Now's the time to experience stuff on the court, because when the season starts, it's about winning. And guys, the Wembanyama experience is officially underway.
It sure is, and it feels so good, Cassidy. You know, I was speaking with Justin James, a former teammate of Wembanyama's on the Metropolitans, and he said that Wembanyama's defensive presence is the thing that jumps off the page at you immediately. Not enough defense that time to stop McGowan, but offensively, Doris, they played a 3-out, 2-in France with Wemby, and the court was congested. He told Wembanyama, when you get to the NBA, there's going to be a lot more space for you to operate, and your buckets will come a little easier.
I just love his attitude already.
Yes.
You know, Mark Jones, to Cassidy's point, he said, I think it's my responsibility to begin on the defensive end of the floor. That should be a charge. That is a nice defensive play right there. And what you love is the guys who have been in the Spurs organization already and the guys who are playing with him right now. So Malachi has said, listen, he's a team guy. We saw it from the first day. He's asking us, hey, you know, where do I need to be here? Picking our brains about the system, about the Spurs. So #1 pick, you could come in with a certain kind of something, attitude.
Juice,
swag. Juice, swag, exactly. But I'm telling you, he feels like he fits the ethos already.
Yes. San Antonio up by 2. Just underway here in the first quarter. Branham snakes the screen. Misfires, and a rebound by the Hornets coming back the other way. Barlow picks up the ball defensively for San Antonio. Scott hands it off to McGowan's. Little float game is pure.
That's a good strong move, Mark. He has across the body of the defender, use his strength to get that off. That is pretty.
Out of Nebraska, he's got 4 points in the game. There's Champagnie, one of the real success stories for San Antonio this past season. Barlow authoring his own success story. Former two-way player.
Champagnie doing good things, Mark. He's gotten to the backboards. Very good decision right there in the two-man game.
There's an empty corner pick and roll. McGowan's. Smith Jr. 10 on the shot clock. Nice screen to free him up. Rebound Hornets underneath and the stick back. Greg Scott with the bucket. And we're tied at 9, 3:20 to go in the opening quarter. Branham. And rebounded by the Hornets. Marlon Garnett, the head coach of the Summer League Hornets. Here's Bailey on the wing. His quick sit dribble got into the paint. Turned it over. Got a timeout.
Yeah, the Charlotte Hornets trying to get to work on the backboards. Little step back three, not good. Weak side glass. Nice little up fake and finish. We were told Victor Wembanyama would play in short spurts, so in 4 minutes, 3 seconds, trying to get busy. We've talked about his decision-making at 7'3", acknowledging the crowd. He knows this is a sold-out house for him. Good little drive. You can see his handle already. Open floor handle. How about this for 7'3"? Little shovel with the left hand. Stop it, Victor. That is pretty.
What about the fact that his French coach initially made him watch Pete Maravich ball handling tapes, old VHS tapes. Doris, you and I can relate to VHS. Pete Maravich ball handling drills to give him a sense of feel for the basketball initially. Wembanyama says that KD was his favorite player to watch growing up in the game. Nice block. And retrieval by the Spurs. Here they come the other way. Sissoko, also a French native, first-round pick. Champagny with the miss. Bailey. And off the turnover, Wesley goes right to Champagny. Look what I found.
But Sissoko makes the play. He stands up the dribble drive. That gets him off and running in the other direction.
Yeah, Sissoko, another one of those international players for San Antonio, number 25 for the Spurs. Former teammate of Scoot Henderson with G League Ignite. I've got to point this out. Jason Hart does such a fantastic job of coaching those young professionals on G League Ignite. They come into this league with their eyes wide open, ready to learn and knowing what to expect and ready to compete. Saw Scoot Henderson in the previous game had moments of brilliance.
Boy, he was so dynamic, getting anywhere he wanted to go on the floor. You hope the shoulder injury does not keep him out of the game on Sunday.
You can see it right here on the ESPN family of networks. Nice crossover off the miss. Foul underneath and a strong putback attempt. Naji out of Nigeria, who might be the most intriguing story and one of the more fascinating stories here at Summer League. Our Bobby Marks was telling us that his mother put out a video on Facebook, folks, and that's how he initially got discovered. People still use Facebook? That's another conversation. Scan the code to pre-order NBA 2K24 25th Anniversary Edition for exclusive access to NBA League Pass and other in-game items. Plus, unlocked Victor Wembanyama in-game items when you pre-order during Summer League. Available September 8th. See you on the court. 14-9 for San Antonio. Champagny has scored the last 5. Wembanyama, nice little crossover and dime. No finish and a foul underneath. So Wembanyama has
Mark
some
Jones.
handles.
How
He's slick with it.
Oh, come
He's slick with it, folks.
How many 7'3" guys are this fluid with the basketball, the handle in a tight window, and can make that kind of read? Different angle, same play, folks. Crosses over, gets the step, and at 7'3", you're going to have plenty of vision to make that play.
Wow.
And his instinct is do the right thing.
Made the right play, right pass. Spurs up by 5, 1:10 to go. Wembanyama so far with 3 points and a couple of rebounds, and that one dime we saw a moment ago. Has an 8-foot wingspan, folks. Tell you what, when he reaches out and touches somebody, he can really touch someone from across the room.
He swallowed one attempt up at the rim early in this quarter.
Here's Miller, the number 2 pick, laces his second 3-ball of the night.
Easy, looks easy.
Yeah. Very fluid motion, very repeatable. Under a minute to go. Wesley lost the handle. Here's Miller with pace. Nice bounce pass. He'll be out of bounds. Charlotte basketball with 37 to go.
Liked what he did in transition. Didn't rush things, made the right read. This is the prior offensive possession. Simple pick and roll basketball. That defender a little step up late, and he makes the right read and pulls the trigger immediately.
Had 18 points in his first game in the California Classic in Sacramento, but then just 6 points and 8 fouls in game 2. Wemby with the board, and there's about a 6-second difference between the shot and game clock. He slips the screen and posts up against Miller. Got a little one. Miller tried to big boy him and bodied him, peeled him clean, and they turned him over. Bailey on the break. Out of bounds. It'll come back the other way.
You saw it on both ends. That dribble driver tried to attack the body, right? The lean frame is one thing people will try to take advantage of. You just said it. Miller on the other end tried to get physical with him.
8.6 to go. Wemby has shown a proclivity to be able to recover defensively and still block shots when guys get into him. Speaking of shots, Wesley. And that's the end of the first period of play. Victor Wembanyama. 3 points, 3 boards, and a dime, and a block when we come back.
Welcome back to Las Vegas, where Charlotte is down 3 here with number 2 overall pick Brandon Miller. And Brandon, a lot of excitement heading into this matchup. Even Victor Wembanyama picked you up on defense a couple times. But how do you feel you control the emotions and that first quarter?
Man, I love it out here, man. Makes me kind of excited that he's actually guarding me, just competing at a high level and having fun with it. I know he's going to get his. I feel like it's going to be a great game overall.
And you told me earlier today that you felt this Las Vegas Summer League could be a fresh start for you guys after dropping the 2 games in Sacramento. What does that mean to you and look like here going forward?
But like I said, we're just out here trying to have fun, as much fun as we can, and compete at a high level and try to get a win.
Thanks for your time. Good luck for the rest of the game. Back to you guys.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Thomas and Mack Center. Victor Wembanyama. 3 points, 3 boards. Block shot and a dime so far. San Antonio Spurs up by 3. And this is his professional debut. He switches here defensively. A whistle and a foul. And the Hornets are going to get a couple of shots. Justin Robinson. Out of Virginia Tech, went undrafted in 2019. Going to the free throw line. Robinson had 17 points in 29 minutes off the bench in a couple of games up in Sacramento in the California Classic. Knocks down the first. Hey, I liked what Brandon Miller had to do in that opening quarter, Doris. He looked to not be paralyzed in thought and played a little bit more fluidly as opposed to what we saw from him in the first 2 games.
Right. I think one of the things they talked to him about Charlotte is just being aggressive. Open shot, open attempt from 3, take it. And he was 2 for 4 from 3. Just felt like in pick and roll action, just more assertive.
Sissoko off the pass from Wemby. Back onto Wembanyama for 3. Spurs with another chance. Wesley from deep. Got it. Blake Wesley out of Notre Dame. 25th pick last season for San Antonio. Appeared in 37 games last year for the Spurs. Miller drives the switch. Little midi. And Wesley with the rebound.
See what I mean, Omar? Different level of aggression from him than we saw earlier this summer. And a nice job by the Spurs to push tempo there to get an early look at 3.
You know, one thing to point out when people underscore the struggles of Miller in those 2 games, this Charlotte team really doesn't have, for the most part, a pure point guard on this roster that has familiarity with a lot of these guys.
Plus, let's remember that every team is virtually playing after a couple of practices and collectively together for the first time.
Wesley sprays it out to the corner. That 3 is short. Robinson on the move in a rush and draws the foul, going right back to the free throw line for a pair. As the Hornets try to close this 6-point margin. And a moment ago, Cassidy Hubbard caught up with Brandon Miller at the end of the quarter.
Charlotte is down 3 here with number 2 overall pick Brandon Miller. And Brandon, a lot of excitement heading into this matchup. Even Victor Wembanyama picked you up on defense a couple times. But how do you feel you control the emotions and that first quarter?
Man, I love it out here, man. Makes me kind of excited that he's actually guarding me, just competing at a high level and having fun with it. I know he's going to get his. I feel like it's going to be a great game overall.
And you told me earlier today that you felt this Las Vegas Summer League could be a fresh start for you guys after dropping the 2 games in Sacramento. What does that mean to you and look like here going forward?
But like I said, we're just out here trying to have fun, as much fun as we can, and compete at a high level and try to get a win.
Thanks for your time. Good luck for the rest of the game. Back to you guys.
From very athletic bloodlines, Miller, his father, Darryl, played football at Alabama, where Brandon also hooped, and his mom Yolanda also here in Las Vegas providing support. Wembanyama got ripped. Back the other way, the 3. Loose ball back out to Bailey. Here's Miller matched up against the #1 pick. Tried to skip pass, almost picked off out of bounds. It'll stay Charlotte basketball with 3.3 to go on the shot clock. What do you make of Wembanyama guarding Miller that far from the basket? It's kind of striking to see.
It is, but
right?
we've seen him make a number of clean switches already, and look at that.
He hijacked that one. At the other end, makes the extra pass. Barlow hit the underside of the rim.
Boy, his instincts, so Mark, and his vision and his touch on his passing is something else.
Very unselfish so far, almost to a fault. Bailey blew a tire and turned it over.
So in the first quarter, Charlotte was 3 for 14 in the paint. He had something to do with that. But you were talking about this, his ability to guard on the perimeter. We said it, multiple clean switches. And how many times is he going to get out and block 3-point attempts because of that length?
Guy that watched a lot of video of Kevin Durant, he says, growing up and trying to pattern most parts of his game around Durant, who himself is about 6'11", almost 7 foot. Wemby sets the screen for Branham. Little pick and pop. Straightaway 3.
He's not connected on that jumper,
Not yet.
but he's so confident and comfortable, Mark.
He's riveting to watch courtside like this. His fluidity is really something. Here's Champagnie missing everything. And Jones with the rebound. 4-point lead for San Antonio. Nice dime inside. And a foul going to be called against Dominic Barlow.
He's just 19 years of age. And there's a maturity about him.
There's a look at the foul as Miller will go to the free throw line. Had a great conversation with Miller at shoot-around earlier today. Summer League action continues tomorrow in Las Vegas on NBA TV, ESPN, and the app. On NBA TV Saturday, Miami, Boston, Knicks, Philadelphia, Memphis, Chicago, followed by Milwaukee, Phoenix. So Brandon looks at me and says, Mark, who's officiating today? And I hope it's not the gentleman that gave me all 8 of my fouls a couple of nights ago in Sacramento. 8. Of course, in Summer League, you're allowed 10. I gave him a bit of advice. I said, make sure you get to know the officials by name. Google, do a little research, families. Be very cordial. It might pay off.
I like that advice.
Barlow inside. And that's going to be a foul on Barlow.
A little spoonful of sugar,
Yes.
you're telling me.
Yes. Catch more bees with honey than with vinegar. So far, Miller out of foul trouble, not in any type of foul trouble. 3-point lead for San Antonio. Wembanyama is guarding Brandon Miller right now. Here they are. Wemby got caught up on the screen, died on the screen that time, Doris. Going to be interesting to watch his screen navigation if he's guarding perimeter players. got fouled that time. He's competing out there, as is Miller.
He is, Mark. And if you watched our coverage of the NBA draft, a lot has been talked about his routine, his preparation for what he knew was coming. Emphasis on his, taking care of his body. Historically, big men have trouble with what? Lower extremities.
Yes.
So doing some early work in preparation of that.
Did a lot of workouts in terms of being able to do a lot of his exercises barefooted. Core activation, glute activation. Very meticulous in his approach. Wow. Jones tried to snatch a couple of souls out there under the bucket. We got a timeout. 5-point game. Victor Wembanyama in 9 minutes and 50 seconds so far, showing that he's got power steering and power brakes and can block a shot or two. Got a piece of that Miller jack, and then a dime to Barlow underneath. Nice rim run and a lefty finish on a three-point play attempt.
It's a passing, though, that is really standing out for me. His instincts there and his touch on his passing. But obviously, I think the frame, right?
Yes.
The strength.
He has said, Doris, and it's important for people to understand the distinction. He says he has to get stronger, not necessarily bigger.
Well, remember when everybody made a big deal out of Kevin Durant not being able to bench press? I don't even remember what the mark was.
135,
It's never proven to be a problem for Kevin Durant.
No. But old Jones misses the second free throw. Cassidy has more.
Yeah, guys, it's been quite the nonstop schedule for Victor, who competed in the French League Finals back on June 15th, and then 9 days later was drafted #1 overall in New York City, after which he flew to San Antonio for his welcome party, and then immediately after that flew to Portland to talk about his shoe deal with Nike for a few days, and then back to San Antonio for training camp to start looking for houses before coming to Vegas here to make his summer league debut. And given how hectic his schedule has been, he has already pulled out of participating in the World Cup this summer, with France saying, I had a long season with the Mets '92 and I have a long season with the Spurs, and there's the Olympics after that, and I just think that more than 2 years without rest is too big of a risk, guys.
Discernment is always going to be important when it comes to how much tread you want to burn on your tire, and especially when it comes to international players, where sometimes the actual pool is not as abundant as it is with USA basketball per se. But I love the fact that he's concentrating on his craft here in America with the Spurs, and perhaps in the future.
And like most organizations, the Spurs in particular have been about longevity where their players are concerned. So watching Greg Popovich and their staff navigate how many games Victor Wembanyama plays in this season, that's going to be quite interesting.
Here's Branham from the edge, a little bit strong, and Miller with the rebound. The good news for Wemby is that he has Pierre Parker here as one of his assistant coaches for the San Antonio Spurs, who will also be coaching in Austin as Jones is fouled. If the name Parker, and it sounds familiar when it comes to Spurs, Pierre is the brother of Tony Parker, of course, former Spurs great. And Wemby played for TJ Parker on Asvel, which is one of the top French pro teams 2 years ago. So if familiarity breeds a little bit of comfort, that's a good thing for the rookie. I took 8 years of French, right, Doris? So
all I know is we went to shoot around this morning and you spoke French to the young man, and I was impressed.
I don't get a chance to use it much in Florida, or in California. Jones at the free throw line. Jones and Nick Richards, the depth at the 5 position for Charlotte moving forward. Those two guys saw the bulk of the minutes when Plumlee was dealt in February. Here's Sissoko from the edge. Line drive, never really had a chance, and Miller coming back the other way. Miller is already connected on a couple of threes off the drag screen. Book night. Way strong. Sissoko sprays it out to the corner. Got it. And Champagnie.
Well, his quality play continues.
Yes. He's got 8 in the game. There's McGowan's. And rebounded by San Antonio. Barlow with a nice screen. Tipped out of bounds, intended for Champagnie, who had 2 strong games in Sacramento, at 30 against the Hornets and 28 against the Lakers, Doris.
Yeah, Sissoko understanding 3 guys around me. That strong side corner is open. This guy has done a number of good things. Rebounded the basketball.
Signed a 4-year, $12 million deal with San Antonio last year. Hey, you know what NBA stands for? Never broke again. Barlow got his cheese. Wesley. Champagnie got his too. Book night. Got into the lane and almost had a nice finish. Barlow. And Wesley raises up. San Antonio up by 11. And Smith Jr. with a long 2.
Smith Jr., a guy that, had it not been for injuries, many believed could have been a lottery pick.
Barlow with a little floater, short roll guy, and converts. He's got 6 with under 3 minutes to go in the first half. The debut of Victor Wembanyama.
You see Smith's level of aggression right there. He got the last one to fall. He was looking for that.
Wesley goes around the world. One more. Champagnie left it on the front rim. Sissoko went up there with malicious intent.
San Antonio Spurs on the run. 4 straight years not in the playoffs after 22 consecutive. Spurs want to be heard from again. Get out and run. Nice finish.
Luminaries in the building tonight. Amongst them, the sky hook inventor, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I get starstruck around Kareem, I'm sorry. J. Cole, my man who is a big basketball fan, played in Basketball Africa League last year. Trae Young of the Atlanta Hawks in the building as well here in Las Vegas. And Jerry West courtside as well. Mr. Clutch, one of the best to ever do it. Great part about coming out to NBA Summer League here in Las Vegas, Doris, we get a chance to hang out and chop it up with a lot of our NBA family members and get reacquainted after a long season.
In a somewhat more relaxed environment than the competitive 82-game schedule.
Yes. Wemby sets the screen and pops. Working against Kai Jones. A sidestep 3 and left it short. Wembanyama now is 1 for 7 from the field. Smith around the screen. Wemby switches on to him. Interesting that Smith didn't try and take on Wembanyama in the switch. 5 on the shot clock. Nice weak side cut and punch for the bucket by Bailey. With under 2 minutes to go, Bailey now with 4. Loose ball, and here's Jones. Bailey one more to the corner. Put Wemby on a flight. And here come the Spurs with 1.5 to play. Wesley, he got it partially blocked. And Champagnie with the follow.
That's why I always run the floor, but Wesley's been the first guy up in transition on multiple occasions.
Champagnie with 10 already. That two is off and rebounded by the Spurs as we approach 1 minute to go in the opening half. Malachi Branham out of Ohio State to Wembanyama. Branham couldn't turn the corner. Good defense. Wemby inside draws the foul.
So feel, right? That's a feel play. Ball enters a post. Two to the ball on that box. And watch him slip to the open space, right? Everybody's pinched down. He makes himself a target on the move, the catch, and gets fouled. This is what they're talking about, the feel, the instincts. You've seen it with the passing, that time on the cut.
Wemby recently said of his new head coach, Greg Popovich, he said, I want to have the type of relationship with him where he can be honest with me, even if it's harsh. Hey, Victor, Coach Pop only knows one way. Honesty, unfiltered.
Well, all their greats,
he's going to get it.
All their greats have been coachable.
Yes.
And it makes a huge difference in a coach's ability to be effective. And I like what he told Michelle Beadle, of course, member of the Spurs broadcast team. She's like, why number one? And he said it's about a mentality. I can't see myself being behind anybody. Like, he understands what's before him.
Whistle and a foul going to go against Champagnie that time. And of course, there's always going to be the usual adjustment for international players. He was asking one of his American teammates, Justin James, about some American terms that he heard in a rap song by Lil Baby, slide. He said, Justin, what's slide mean? He says, no, it just means we're out of here. Exit, partir, leave.
I rely on you for that.
Saturday on ESPN, we're going to slide right into some good games. Exclusive announcement of the WNBA All-Star Game rosters at 1 Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific, followed by WNBA Countdown team. We'll get you set for the matchup between the Storm and Liberty at 2 Eastern Time. Liberty, one of the threats to the Las Vegas Aces, who have been dominant so far. Just one loss so far, I believe, in WNBA play. They are stacked. 15 to go. McGowan's man, Wembanyama put him in the friend zone. Champagnie, and that's going to be a foul. And Wembanyama with his third block of the game.
7'3", barefoot. It just comes over in rotation.
That's a game changer.
It is, but it was interesting. You were noting that Smith, right, didn't want to take him on, Nick Smith. He was at the three-point line. You think he saw Brandon get blocked beyond the three-point line?
That's a great point.
What looks like space when that is your defender may not be what you think it is.
Guys are going to learn real quickly. 8.2 to go. First half. Wemby just 1 of 7 from the field. 5 points, 3 blocks, 5 boards. Champagnie knocks down the second. Spurs being coached by Matt Nielsen, former Australian national team player. That's online and just comes off to end the first half of play. The Spurs with a 12-point lead at the break. And Victor Wembanyama's professional debut here at Summer League. Back with more after this. Welcome back to the NBA 2K24 Summer League. As night begins to fall here in the desert. Las Vegas, Nevada, the entertainment capital of the world, and we got all kinds of good bump for you here tonight. Tap in, Mark Jones, Doris Burke, Cassidy Hubbard joining us in just a moment. Interesting showdown here between the number 1 and number 2 pick in the NBA draft. Wembanyama and Miller, and so far a ignominious beginning.
I don't know what you want to call it.
A little offbeat, a little
you've seen some
unceremonious.
You've seen some flashes. Victor coming up the floor with the ball in his hands. He's shown excellent passing instincts. Good use of his left hand right there. Brandon Miller, after taking some criticism for not having a high enough motor and being aggressive enough, came out firing from 3. comfortable in pick and roll action, efficient use of the dribble right there. Just a nice play by the young man. 7 and 5 respectively.
Look at the coaching numbers there for the first half. Wemby took 3 3-point attempts. Miller went 2 for 6 from deep. At least he's shooting more than he did in previous games in Summer League. And the head coach, Greg Popovich, in attendance tonight. Here's Miller, picked up by Champagnie on the switch. They clear out the side for him. He goes to work, and he draws the foul. So Brandon Miller is being much more intentional, Doris, and pointed about getting to the basket and actually shooting the basketball here in this third preseason game of his.
The Charlotte fans who were upset that he took so few shots. He took 8 in the first half. They empty the side for him and let him attack, and he gets right here to the foul line.
Miller out of Alabama, the highest drafted Crimson Tide player since, you're going to love this name, Doris, Antonio McDyess.
Wow. I remember when Antonio McDyess went to the Knicks. Didn't quite work as well as I had hoped.
Dice was nice for a while in the league. First SEC player to win SEC Player of the Year, Alabama player. And a good rip there. Hornets coming back the other way. Miller in transition pulls the 3. Champagnie with the board. Wembanyama kicks it out to Champagnie and laces the 3 from deep. Julius Champagnie continues to impress here in the Summer League play. He's got 14. Cassidy has more.
You guys mentioned his 4-year, $12 million deal after going undrafted last season. That was also after being waived by the 76ers just last February. He told me he feels good knowing I went through a tough route, undrafted, two-way, waived, picked up, and signed. And he said it made it feel that much better when he signed that deal. And he said getting waived by the 76ers was a gut punch, but he took a couple days and just kept pushing. As the Spurs knocked down another one. He also said he really struggled in Summer League last season. He was pressing too much, trying to learn the NBA game, but this year he feels a lot more comfortable, obviously with more security, but also just having the NBA games under his belt. He did say he was really excited to play with Wembanyama. He said, I can't wait to see this and to have a guy around who has the potential to be one of the greatest. He said as a teammate, Wemby is humble, quiet. He has a little bit of a sense of humor, but it's been great to be around. He also says he needs to rent a Sprinter when they get back to San Antonio so we can take him to the best breakfast taco spots in San Antonio. That is his mission when they get back together.
Indigenous food, important. Here's Miller. Wemby switches onto him, moving his feet. Miller defers to Bouknight, and a good decision that time. Book knocks down the 3, his first field goal of the ball game. And this evening is a good opportunity for James Bouknight, who's been working tirelessly in Miami with his trainer Ronnie Taylor on just the mental aspects of the game, his playmaking, catch and shoot, drills, and a lot of shooting off the bounce. And speaking of bounce, Wesley lays it in.
It's a big year for Bouknight. I think it was 2 years ago, the 11th pick in the 21 draft out of UConn. Third year is a big year for him.
Miller off the screen. Champagnie navigates it well. Miller lost his balance, but drew the foul. So Brandon Miller with another field goal attempt. He's already got 8 points in the ball game. 2 for 7 from deep, 2 for 9 overall. Miller had 6 points in his last game. Mentioned his dad, who's always been one of his most passionate supporters. Darryl played football at University of Alabama. Has always been his rock. Helped him go through the process in terms of selecting representation, guiding him through the process, and ended up choosing Wilmer Jackson Spencer as his agent.
Oh, you see Mitch Kupchak?
Yep.
And I'm always curious, like, so much discussion about whether Scoot Henderson would be the second pick or Brandon would be the second pick. And do you think as Charlotte organization, that's going to be a couple free throws? Like, you have LaMelo in the backcourt. You agree right now in principle to his next long-term deal. Could be worth $260 million. What would that backcourt have looked like if you indeed had selected Scoot? Obviously, you go the other direction. And I'm curious, you think about LaMelo and games played last year, obviously only 36 games.
Here's a look at the depth chart. LaMelo, Rozier, McGowan's on the book night, the guards, Simmons and Bailey here as well. But yeah, it's interesting, Dorrance. You bring up a great point because they brought back Scoot and Brandon Miller a second time right before the draft to get in another workout in front of the discerning eyes of the management like Mitch Kupchak and the governor, Michael Jordan, the owner of the team still, even though he's agreed to sell it.
It's just an aspect of NBA basketball that I find fascinating. I think we've all learned, right, that putting together 3 superstars doesn't always translate to an NBA championship. You look at the Denver Nuggets, a well-constructed roster, an organization that showed patience with young talent.
Right.
Jamal Murray gets hurt. He goes to Michael Malone and says, are you guys going to trade me? No. We're going to let you get healthy. We're going to continue to show patience. The organization doesn't overreact, sticks with Michael Malone, and eventually gets into a championship.
There's a look at Bridges, who recently signed his qualifying offer with the Hornets. Back in the mix.
How do the Spurs approach? I'm sorry, I'm just sort of like thinking big picture. How do the Spurs? So that's Charlotte's side.
Yeah.
Does Brian Wright have a vision for what they need around Victor Wembanyama, or do you have to let him play for a year and figure it out? It's something I don't necessarily understand, and I'm always intrigued by.
How do you build it, right?
Correct.
How do you add those pieces?
Yes, and when do those thought processes start taking shape? Like, how much of a vision do they have? We hope to have the GM here at the table, Brian Wright, shortly. So listen, I'm going to pepper him.
We've all been on the other end of trying to pepper that guy.
Mark, one too many times for me.
I still got the burn marks, man. Greg Popovich off the steal. Good anticipation by Bouknight, raising up and punching it home. So Bouknight now catching fire in the second half. He's got 7. And the lead is down to 11. Champagnie, little dribble handoff action. Wesley sprays it out in a bucket. Good shot by Branham. San Antonio has always been one of those teams that have been able to find and unearth gems. And you think about Summer League several years ago, Doris, you and I have been here for a while. I think about Gary Neal, who emerged as a Spurs star here and won. Blake Wesley with the layup. R.C. Buford and Coach Popovich with discerning eyes.
Branham has had one heck of a half, and Mr. Wesley, he's been at the cup all night.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Thomas & Mack Center. 5:33 to go in the third quarter. Mark Jones, Doris Burke, and Brian Wright, the general manager of the San Antonio Spurs, nice enough to join us. Thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me.
So tell us about your highly touted first pick in the draft, Victor Wembanyama, and the mentality about nurturing and having the requisite guardrails, and how you design those guardrails. How far do you go with them?
Yeah, I think each and every day that we've been with him since the draft, and even in this moment, it's an opportunity for us to learn something about him and how to best support him, how to best support this team. And this whole experience, all of it's been great. Great for him, great for us, and we'll learn every step of the way.
Well, I just got a welcome to the NBA moment right there. Your timing was not impeccable. But I'm curious about something. We'll watch the replay. This is a spectacular finish by Kai Jones. I don't know if Victor has ever asked about your welcome to the NBA moment, but he's going to give as good as he gets. I'm curious about something, Brian. When you draft somebody as unique as Victor and you're trying to build an organization, how much of a vision do you already have versus what you have to watch from him in his first year and as he starts to develop?
Sure. I think we said a little bit at the draft where, you know, we have to learn. We have to take a patient approach, you know, with him, but also with the rest of our team. If you look at our group, we've got a lot of players 23 or younger, and they're all still coming into their own as well. And how we best build around them, I think that takes time. And you know, we have a vision for how we would like to play. Pop's put his stamp on that for years now, and how we would like to operate. But in terms of how you build out the group and what fits well around others, I think, you know, that's going to take some time. But the fun thing is we've got a lot of pieces to grow with, and we're excited about.
What's been the most surprising thing about Victor in terms of discovery, what you guys may have learned about him since being able to put your eyes on him in person in San Antonio for practices and in preparation for Summer League, both in Sacramento and here?
Yeah, I think you see one thing tonight is he's extremely unselfish, a really good passer, and he's all about the team. And that's something, you know, when you watch the highlights, that doesn't pop in a highlight. But if you sit back and watch all of his games in France, that was the thing that really stood out to us, is he never tried to do too much in moments of the game. He could feel for when he needed to be aggressive, when he needed to make a play for somebody else, and he stayed within himself. And that's a unique quality, especially in moments like this where it's a lot of pressure. It's an incredible environment here, and you see it with him. He hasn't gotten outside of himself. He's played within himself and tried to play within the team concept, and that's a great characteristic to have.
He feels very Spursian to me already. You correct me if it's a misperception, but there does seem to be a striking humility about the young man. And you listen to the teammates who are playing with him right now, and they're talking about how team-oriented he is and how much about the work he is. How much of that did you know going into the draft?
Yeah, you try to do as much work as you can. And you have, you know, information from people that you talk to, but obviously to see it firsthand and see that affirmation has been incredible. And the other thing about him, Doris, is he's incredibly intelligent, but he's also incredibly curious. You know, the video or the photo went around of the dinner with him and Tim and David and Manu, and just the curiosity to ask the questions of what this would be like and how he needs to prepare. And, you know, you just don't see that a lot of times from somebody that's that highly touted. And, you know, it's kind of what makes him unique.
How frequently are those guys around when you talk about David and Tim and Manu and some of the guardrails, some of the culture that he has a chance to potentially absorb? Are they around much?
Yeah, great deal. And that's the beauty of San Antonio, is those guys live there.
I never see Tim Duncan, man. I don't ever see Tim Duncan.
Because he's ducking out before we show up.
Yeah, no, it's great having those guys around the gym and just around the program in general. And they're always there to be a resource for these guys and help mentor them and talk them through, you know, as they go through their own journeys through their career.
Tell us about Malachi Branham, a guy that became a starter late in the year for you guys in February and had some really good moments for you in his development here in Summer League.
He's a natural three-level scorer, and he kind of makes it look easy at times. And he's really improved over the summer, you know, adding weight to his frame, improving his perimeter shooting, and just, you know, different things, adding little nuances to his game. But he is a really good scoring guard, and we believe he's got a lot of upside going forward.
Mr. Champagnie has put together quite a few games here in the summer. What's pleased you most about what you've seen from him?
You know, you love to see when guys put in work over the summer and they come to an environment like this, and you see that work carry forward. And he's an incredible shooter, but again, he's also another one that stays within himself, does what he's capable of doing, and he's been great the first few games of Summer League.
Miller with the slam, 9-point lead now for San Antonio. There's Branham on the wing. Another good story, the guy with the rebound right there. Barlow has really made a wonderful path for himself, and where does he fit in the equation moving forward?
He is a very intriguing young big. He came in out of the OTE program and was one of the first to have an NBA stint, and he's grown tremendously over the last year, just learning the game, little nuances, adding strength. He's got great feet. You've seen him in this game switch and defend guards multiple times and very disciplined with that. So, you know, he's someone that can definitely fit going forward. Can do a lot of different things, versatile, smart, and he loves the game. You know,
I was told by a scout that his AAU coach discovered him playing pickup basketball somewhere on a court in New Jersey. So he's really a late bloomer. He didn't start playing basketball till late, huh?
Absolutely. And his experience in the G League and the games that he played late in the season were tremendous for him. Just to build on that foundation and learning, and he's another one that's really, really promising going forward.
Brian, you talked a little bit, excuse me, Mark Jones. We have talked about your youth, and obviously it's an organization building, but you did make a signing of a guy that I love, and that's Reggie Bullock. Just talk about what you're hoping he brings. 32 years old, obviously went to the Western Conference Finals with Dallas 2 years ago, but what are you hoping Reggie adds to your unit?
Yeah, Reggie's been consistent for a long time as a 3-and-D guy and a veteran presence where you know what you're going to get. I was actually with Reggie in Detroit a few years back during my stint there, so have some familiarity. And you know, he's a guy that can spread the floor, allow others to operate in space, and then on the other end make it hard for, you know, the game is played on the wing, and you need people that can make it hard for those guys.
Brian, thanks a lot for joining us. We saw Sohan a minute ago. His reporting during the draft was A1. He's got another profession, man.
I told him the same, but he's got a lot of basketball to play first.
Yes, he does.
Brian Wright, general manager of the San Antonio Spurs. Thanks a lot for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Wesley inside. Miller with the block. McGowans might have gotten away with a walk. Tried to catch a body underneath and got fouled. With 3:11 to go here in the third quarter.
Well, we've seen some speed and some athleticism, Mark Jones. Charlotte trying to make some noise here. They had gone stretches without putting the ball in the basket. Book Knight had to drive a few possessions back. They're attacking with authority.
Gowans going to the free throw line. Gowans out of Nebraska, 40th pick in 2022. Has an older brother, Trey, that plays in the G League with the Nets. Hey, coming up next on ESPN, the Warriors taking on the Lakers right here to cap day one of the Summer League here in Las Vegas. As always, a lot of purple and gold in the building here in summertime. Barlow with the rebound.
Usually it's Golden State and the Lakers that fill this building. That is not the case tonight. Victor Wembanyama had this thing rocket earlier.
Black and silver. Wesley rejects the ball screen. Here's Stevenson from deep. And Miller, who had that spectacular jam a moment ago, got a whistle and an offensive foul on the illegal screen. We're going to take a timeout with 2:45 to go in the third. Miller trying to mount a charge against the #1 pick when we come back.
Welcome back to a sold-out Thomas and Mack Center. Just the 5th time in Summer League history that we have had a sold-out attendance, an attendance of 17,500 people. I'm told that the line was all the way around Thomas and Mack Center before the game. Actually, early this morning, as people have been flooding in to Thomas and Mack Center and also Cox Arena. If you buy a ticket, it gives you access for the entire day. So this arena has been full for hours before the start of this game as people have staked out their seats. And this is the second time it's sold out a day before the start of Summer League. Last time was 2019 for Zion's debut. And look, usually the walkway of the lower bowl is cleared, but it's packed to the brim here. Right below where I'm standing, above here in this Michelob Ultra courtside seating, this is where friends and family of players are able to sit. Even I have people sitting on the floor up here, so the seats here in the VIP section are even taken up. But even below me in the pit, this is where, you know, people across the league come to network. And before Victor Wembanyama came out onto the court, people were shoulder to shoulder. So people are excited about this debut, and they certainly came out in droves to watch this debut, guys.
What about Cassidy? And one strong take and finish. Cass, can you get me behind that red velvet rope that you always seem to make behind, and I get stuck just once?
It's a heck of a drive.
Yes.
Finish right there.
Great crowd here. And hey, the great thing about Summer League here in Las Vegas is that not only is it Thomas and Mack, which is packed tonight, like Cassidy just reported on, but right across the concourse, you have Cox Pavilion and another game going on. So it's a continuous flow of fantastic NBA basketball here in the summer. It is a dream if you're a hoop fan.
Cassidy brought up 2019 with Zion.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember what happened that night?
I looked down at the floor and the ground was shaking. And it wasn't because of Zion's dunk.
That's correct. It was an earthquake in the building. Well, not in the building, in Las Vegas.
Yep.
And this scoreboard over our head as the ball's coming our way. They know you and I can play, Mark.
Yep. Here's a look at what's going on next door. We were just talking about the Atlanta Hawks taking on the Sacramento Kings, who had a big summer, locking up Domas Sabonis with a long-term deal, getting a couple of key second-round players. Sasha Vezenkov, the EuroLeague MVP, accepting a deal. Oh, Miller.
Wow, nice double move, Mark.
Put Victor on his knees.
He crossed.
He's got a nice handle.
He does. He crossed him twice. So the first cross, little step back cross, second cross. You see Victor took a little contact to the neck. A little confused by the call. Nice double move by Mr. Miller.
You don't think that Miller, as a competitor, is saying, I know everyone came here to watch the #1 pick, but don't forget about me. Drives the closeout. Made a nice pass that came in a little bit hot. Wasn't expected by James Najee.
Yeah, but Najee looked right at him, as you should, and said, that's my bad. That was the right read by you. I wasn't ready.
Here's McCoy into the front court, working against McGowan's. Whistling a foul against the Hornets. Prior to the game tonight, we met with Matt Nielsen, the Summer League head coach, and he said that the Spurs were going to try and keep it very simple, Doris, just 2 plays, but the essence of those 2 plays as it pertains to Wembanyama was being able to get him the ball on the move as opposed to a stationary catch. It was interesting to listen to his thoughts on that.
Well, I like it, number one. You obviously can see the instincts that he has on the catch and quick decision making.
Oh, Miller with a spin, missed the mid-range. Brandon Miller 3 for 10.
He was visibly frustrated. He did all the hard work to get his space.
Hornets still down by 13. Miller not shy. He's getting his jacks up tonight. That's his 12th field goal attempt.
Neither guy has been efficient tonight with their shooting.
Yeah, Wemby is 1 for 7, Doris. About a 3-second difference between the shot and game clock. Wesley out top, a flat ball screen. He got downhill with it. Stevenson couldn't put it home, and that's going to be the end of the 3rd quarter of play. Wembanyama with 5 points, 7 boards, a couple of dimes, and 3 blocks, and going to look to see if it's really the end of the quarter or not. We might have a baseline out of bounds. They're going to put about 0.4 on the clock, which, if you saw the previous game tonight, don't go to sleep on it. Jabari Smith hit a game winner with 0.6 to go. 0.2, not enough time for a catch and shoot. And that is the end of the 3rd period. The #1 pick with 5 points, Brandon Miller with 11. Back with the 4th quarter after this.
Welcome back to Las Vegas, where the Spurs are up 58-45 here with Julian Champagnie. Julian, you're fresh off signing your new deal just yesterday. Did that give you a little boost in this game with 14 points so far through 3?
Yeah, for sure. It's the same thing. You know, we come out, we play hard. live with the result. So obviously my teammates keep finding me. So yeah.
And we talked earlier today about you being excited to play with Victor Wembanyama tonight. How do you feel like you all adjusted with his presence there on the court so far?
Yeah, I think we're adjusting. Obviously, it's our first game with him. So, you know, we'll continue to adjust. We got 3 more. We'll see how much he plays, and we'll keep adjusting. It's a learning process, so we'll be okay.
Thanks for your time, and good luck in the 4th quarter. Back to you guys. Welcome back to Las Vegas, where the Spurs are up 58-45 here with Julian Champagnie. Julian, fresh off signing your new deal just yesterday, did that give you a little boost in this game with 14 points so far through 3?
Yeah, for sure.
Masyado kayong tahimik ngayon.
Live with the result. So obviously my teammates keep finding me. So
Seryoso ang pigs.
And we talked earlier today about you being excited to play with Victor Wembanyama tonight. How do you feel like you all adjusted with his presence there on the court so far?
Yeah, I think we're adjusting. Obviously, it's our first game with him. So, you know, we'll continue to adjust. We got 3 more. We'll see how much he plays, and we'll keep adjusting. It's a learning process, so we'll be okay.
Thanks for your time, and good luck in the 4th quarter. Back to you guys.
All right, thanks a lot, Cass. 14 points for Champagnie after signing his new deal. And sign a new deal, you automatically make a few friends.
I thought you were going to say make a few shots because you finally settle in.
That too. Side out of bounds. San Antonio actually won both games in the California Classic. This is Wemby's first run of the summer. Going to be interesting to see how much he plays. He was posting up. They didn't get it to him. And McCoy misses the 15-footer. Scott on the drive. And Wembanyama with his 4th block. On a pick and pop, Wemby slides out.
Can feel the crowd on every catch, the anticipation.
Yeah.
But I go back to both guys, really. Brandon, not efficient, and Wemby, not efficient. But that translates immediately, yeah.
Wow, big time move and bucket by Amari Bailey out of UCLA. I love this pick for the Charlotte Hornets.
He's been aggressive, Mark. And he has no hesitation attacking, uses that weak hand, the offhand, the right arm to just hold off Wembanyama and gets the better of him.
Wemby with the foul that time on the Bailey bucket. 6'5" at UCLA. I was speaking to an NBA player at halftime, and I asked him his thoughts on Wembanyama. He said, the thing that jumps out at me right now is his great defense too, but he seems a little winded. Interesting perspective from a player. Players who always know. And, you know, he seemed to lose his balance a couple times there in the first half. And he remarked that he's going to have to get used to the speed of the NBA game. Oh, man! Champagnie detonates and destroys and eviscerates the Hornets.
That has everybody out of their seats. Turns the corner and attacks Najee and gives him a little look like, big fella, look out.
He gave them all that smoke.
If a picture has 1,000 words, what was he saying right there, Mark Jones?
Said he looked at his wrist. He got time today. A lot of it. Oh, 17 points. Been some moments of brilliance here at Summer League. Najee set a nice screen, a little shake action. Bailey misses the jumper. Talking about Amari Bailey at UCLA, had a team leading 17 points, game high, team high against Golden State on Wednesday on a very efficient 6 of 9 shooting. And just 17 minutes off the bench.
Victor Wembanyama about 22 minutes thus far. I can't imagine he goes over 27 minutes.
Spins and fires. Seemed a little bit rushed that time. Bailey, book night. Najee with the rebound, kick out, wide open three for Smith. And that rattles out. Bouknight with the offensive rebound. Good hustle. Najee set a great screen. Wembanyama switches onto him. Bailey got hung up and had to fire it at the end of the shot clock. Good defense by San Antonio.
Yeah, the defense translates immediately for this guy. He takes a seat now, probably about 23 minutes. Multiple efforts, the ability to recover over. And again, the amount of space covered with the strides, both north and south and east and west. 5 blocks already for him, Mark.
The San Antonio team gave up the most points per game last year. I'm guessing by Wemby's presence alone, that's going to change this year. I'm betting that they're not going to be 30th in points allowed per game. Bailey got his own shot back. Probes baseline, had it knocked out of bounds off his knee. Miller comes back into the ball game for Scott. Wembanyama on the bench in 23 minutes has those 5 points. Miller has played 24 minutes tonight. Number 1 pick against the number 2 pick. Branham touching the paint.
What kind of overreactions do you think we'll have, Mark Jones?
Oh, some very drastic ones. But it's going to take a while for both Wembanyama and Miller. Nice drive. Bouknight lacerating the paint that time. He's got 9. And a lot of contact. Offensive foul. It's going to come back the other way.
You see Bouknight. Wow. I mean, hung up on the screen.
Yeah. I think Sissoko was at the other end of a veteran move there. Miller trying to get open, sets a screen, and that's going to be an offensive foul coming right back the other way. You know, I was talking earlier about Miller and his father always being on his hip and guiding him towards representation. We have the number 1 and the number 2 picks going head to head. The layer behind the story behind the story is that with respect to representation, history was made in the draft. The top 10 picks were all represented by black agents for the first time, which is a proud moment for the community. When you look at Bouna Jai, who represents Wembanyama, Rich Paul, Bill Duffy, Calvin Andrews, Aaron and Eric Goodwin. I mean, some really top flight representation.
But some of those guys have been doing it for a high level for a long time. I mean, the Goodwins, Bill Duffy.
Yep. Jackson Spencer representing Miller, and McGowan's representing himself well that time on the slam. He's got 11.
This game back to within 9.
Branham, nice skip pass to Champagnie.
Tell you, he's had every opportunity that's come to him. He has been terrific.
Champagnie turning pennies into dollars. He's got 20. 12-point lead. Bouknight. A little bit of a mismatch with Sissoko here. Playing with his food, settles for the 3. Barlow on the roll. Good offense by San Antonio.
Yeah, they had closed it within 9. Champagnie makes a 3 and then makes the nice dish and pushes the lead right back out again.
Here's Miller. Barlow switches onto him. Smith. And he was patting it a lot, but it paid off.
He was. I mean, he likes that step back going left.
Under 5 minutes to go. Charlotte hanging around. Down by 12. And not sure if we'll see any more of Wemby tonight. Champagny driving to the basket hard tonight. I just want to know one thing. Who's doing the eulogy on that? Call the pastor.
Low, low. We switch. You got you mic'd up? You got me mic'd up for some reason. Let's go, Book. I need one. Stop ball. Right. By yourself. Bryce. Hey!
Some of the impassioned insights and intonations from the court tonight. Brandon Miller, nice enough to wear a microphone for us this evening. Look at the numbers on his night. Played in Alabama, where his father played football. Led the SEC in scoring, 4th in rebounding. Played 3 sports until hit that growth spurt in high school, and it was all hoops. Summer League action continues tomorrow in Las Vegas on NBA TV, ESPN, and the ESPN app. NBA TV Saturday has Miami, Boston, the Knicks, Philadelphia, Memphis, Chicago, followed by Milwaukee and Phoenix at 9 p.m. Eastern time. It's going to be interesting to see what the Bucks look like next year. Adrian Griffin out here got his first win as a coach, albeit in a Summer League game. Was coaching the Bucks Summer League team earlier this afternoon. And Terry Stotts, I think, is going to be a fantastic addition to that team. Give them a fresh vibe offensively, especially. He is a brilliant offensive mind. Great to see him back.
One of the outstanding people in the league. It
Yes.
feels like he's been around forever. Terry Stotts did one of the nicest things. My first NBA game I called for the Knicks was in Milwaukee. Terry was an assistant coach, and I had asked the staff to get me an assistant to give me some assistance on the scout.
Yeah.
And Terry was absolutely brilliant, kind, gave me all kinds of things to keep my eyes on,
Yep.
and I'll never forget it.
Amen to that. Good people. 4:10 to go. And Wembanyama will come back into the game. Brett Brown there beside Greg Popovich, brain trust of the San Antonio Spurs. I know Pop has been around the globe somewhere. Usually goes to those wonderfully exotic places in the summertime. Miller fires from deep and drills another 3. 10-point ball game, Doris. He's got 14.
Yeah, shows some big time range on that. Marquise been ready on the catch all night.
From deep tonight, he is 3 for 9. There's Wemby still trying to find his first 3. Missed badly. Didn't draw iron, so the shot clock almost expired. Hornets got a chance here. McGowan's nice little Euro step. Missed the layup. And the buzz in the crowd as Wembanyama brings it up to Wesley. Nice little show and go for the slam.
I tell you, he's been dynamic at the cup.
Yes.
So aggressive.
13 for him. Wemby with the block, but a foul called. McGowan's will get a couple of free throws.
Boy, I love the visible frustration right there. And I'm
The
not
ability
sure.
to recover after the
Big
offensive
time.
player gets space is amazing.
Yeah, big time. I almost agree with his frustration there.
Hey, what about the new flop rule? Do you like it?
You think that's, yes.
It's going to be very tricky to adjudicate.
Yes.
Because I've seen a couple of instances already where it hasn't quite appeared what it looked like.
So you have some master floppers, right?
Oh, you could go probably 2-3 teams deep on an all-NBA flop team. I'm not going to put anybody on blast right now, but you all know who you are. Champagnie fakes the handoff.
I do like the new challenge rule that you get to keep it. There it is.
And maybe a 4-point play. Wembanyama with the 3 and the foul.
It's not been a clean shooting night for Victor. His last one was well off. That one under duress with some contact.
Welcome back to the NBA 2K24 Summer League from Nevada, Las Vegas, Nevada. Both of those places. Wembanyama at the free throw line.
You can make up a place. I'll go with you.
Okay. 9 points in the game. Converts the 4-point play. Wembanyama navigating the screen against Miller. Bouknight on the reversal and cashes out on the 3. James Bouknight with 12 in the ball game. 11-point lead for San Antonio. 2.5 to go. Branham into the front court. Little pitch action. Wembanyama tried to get downhill there and settles for the mid-range. Lost his balance and fell.
That was one of those plays you mentioned, Mark. Getting him the basketball on the move, going to that strong right hand.
Bouknight with a ball fake. Hornets in a little 5 out here. Actually, Kai Jones on the baseline. That jumper no good. Jones with the board. And they'll get another shot clock. Already down to 8. Miller for 3. Loose ball. And Jones with great hustle. That 3 short by McGowan's. And the Hornets running out of time and gas right now. Just 5 of 31 from deep on the night. Wesley popped that clutch, got downhill, but got blocked. Bouknight with the putback. Hey, the good news tonight, Brandon Miller didn't get 8 fouls.
Yes.
Hey, I'm a half full guy, Doris. Not half empty. Wemby got picked clean by Jones, took his cornbread, and some room service for McGowan's at the other end.
It's down to 7, and now they push up in a little bit of pressure here.
We've seen a lot of strange things happen. Robinson, a little full court pressure, now a trap on Wesley. Barlow, I'm not sure about that shot, but it falls anyway. And that should just about do it. Miller spins and fires. That's the Brandon Miller that was an All-American this year at Alabama. Wemby with 29 seconds to go. Miller up into him. Couldn't finish through the contact. Bouknight.
He had a play like that early in the first half.
Yeah.
Right? Where it was a dazzling move to the cup, little contact hits him, and he missed a chippy.
6 seconds to go as we put a lid on the professional debut of Victor Wembanyama from France. The first player from that country to be chosen #1 in the NBA draft. Finishes the evening with 9 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, and 5 blocks. Miller with 16 points and 11 rebounds. Cassidy Hubbarth efforting an interview.
Much more aggressive Brandon Miller from the outset of this basketball game. As you see, Greg Popovich head to the exit.
Yes.
I would not say a dazzling display by either the 1 or the 2 pick.
No.
You certainly saw flashes of some things, Mark Jones.
Never quite as easy sometimes as you think it might happen. Let's go to Cassidy, who's with Victor.
Victor, your highly anticipated Summer League debut culminating in a win, but how do you personally feel the game came to you today?
You know, we're going to learn a lot. We won this game, so that's 3-0 for us. And, yeah, you know, just got to get acclimated to the new style of play.
And how do you feel like you acclimated and improved as the game came along, defensively, specifically?
Didn't acclimate because that was my first time, so next time I'm going to do better, and I hope to do better every time.
Well, Julian Champagnie certainly led the way for you guys, specifically with his offense and also his monster dunk. What was it like playing alongside your new teammate?
You know, I haven't had the chance to practice with the Summer League team, so it was really my first time with them, and you know, really good guys. I'm happy to be on this roster, and yeah, I think we got one of the best young core.
And look, you and Brandon Miller will forever be linked as 1 and 2 in this past NBA draft. What did you think of his play tonight and his future in the league?
You know, it's a second pick, totally deserved. And yeah, I hope, you know, as rookies, we can never know what's going to happen, but I wish him the best.
Lastly, your next game, Sunday night, possibly against Scoot Henderson, depending on his injury status. What are you looking forward to? Yeah, he got hurt, and we'll see his status for Sunday. But in terms of, you know, what you hope to improve on in that game and that matchup, what are you anticipating?
You know, I hope we can keep winning, and yeah, just it's really an experiment. You know, the Southern League. I'm trying to learn as much as I can, as quickly as possible, to be ready for the start of the season.
Well, congrats on the win, and thanks for taking the time.
Thanks.
Real snapshot of humility right there. Victor Wembanyama. Get used to the name, folks. He'll be making, at some point, an indelible imprint on the league and on the Spurs franchise. Mark Jones with Doris Burke. Interesting debut for the #1 pick. Mixed reviews, room for improvement, and we'll see what happens between now and hopefully Sunday when we see him play again, as we take a look, Doris, at some of the plays from the night. What are your thoughts?
So he's 19 years old. He just said it. I haven't really even practiced playing with this group for the first time. The defense, I think, translates immediately. 7'3", the ability to switch out cleanly. I think the thing that impressed me the most was his instincts as a passer. There's an unselfishness to his game. He understood he was the show tonight. You could feel the anticipation of the crowd. The jumper did not go at all early. In fact, he started 0 for 8, I believe, outside the paint, and then finally gets that one to go. But I think, obviously, work to be done in terms of strength, but I love the IQ and the way he plays with this unselfish ethos. Only 19 years old. You can hear it in the way he speaks. There's a maturity that will translate. And let's remember, you're not playing with the NBA players you will be playing alongside of. That helps to raise your level as well.
Well, he certainly has a lot of role models to follow within the course of the organization. Duncan, Robinson, Ginobili, Parker, and the list goes on and on. So the guardrails, as Coach Popovich alluded to several days ago, were in place for his growth. As for the #2 pick, Brandon Miller, I would say he took a nice leap from game 2, where he had 6 points and 8 fouls a couple of nights ago in Sacramento, to tonight, 16 and 11.
A lot of concern about the lack of aggression, maybe needed to turn up his motor. Well, from the first time he touched the basketball, he was shot ready. Obviously showed some range on the three-point shooting, out in transition. The ability to show off some of that athleticism. Just felt like a completely different mindset and approach for him tonight. Not necessarily super efficient. Overall, just 5 for 15, but a productive, more aggressive, higher motor effort from Brandon Miller.
So Miller finishes with a much better night, 16-11. Hey, so we go from the number 1 and the number 2 pick, Wemby against Miller, to our next game coming up, the Los Angeles Lakers and the Golden State Warriors. And boy, the Lakers, when you look at them in a panoramic sense, eliminated by the Denver Nuggets in the playoffs.
Yeah.
They've done some positive things in free agency, amongst them bringing back some of your guys that showed a lot of promise in the playoffs and late in the regular season. Remember, they made a big turn after the trade deadline last year. So this is the next step in the Lakers franchise development and being able to put the pieces all together. They get a look at some of the guys that will hopefully get a chance to impact the big team when the regular season starts in mid-October. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, Pajemski and the rest of his crew, the Warriors against the Lakers, on the other side.